Hello, thank you for being here. I am called Soul, and this is my channel. Before we begin, I would like to take in a few deep breaths to ground and center in the present moment. Feel free to join along. It always feels good to come back to the present. So today I wanted to talk about what this year, this new calendar year, has in store for us, what themes that I've been sensing. And I think before we can even dive into 2023 themes, we really get to look at what happened in 2022. 2022 was a 6th year. If you're familiar with numerology, you'll probably understand what that refers to. It was a year of relationships, growth, and in some cases deterioration. And a lot of the time, people were talking about shadow work and looking into the parts of ourselves that we maybe weren't familiar with, or were maybe only coming to terms with for the very first time in our lives. And that was in direct, mirroring with what was going on throughout the world. For me, when I think about 2022, I had described it as a year of grief. Oftentimes, when we're dealing with shadow work, when we're looking at patterns in our relationships and within ourselves, it can call for a mourning of past versions that once existed. We've been so conditioned to fear what's new, and when things don't feel familiar, they can often feel uncomfortable. And so it's natural that that comes with a certain level of grief. And so collectively, that's what was felt. That was the overarching theme that seemed to follow society in the major events and in the personal events as well. Now, the word grief itself typically imparts visions of sadness and despair. It's an emotion similar to anger that we try to run away from because we associate it with not feeling good. And in so doing, we remove the necessity of the entire range of emotions that we are here to feel. Grief is a necessary part of life. It is an emotion associated quite figuratively and literally with the life cycle. After life comes death, and after death comes life, and on it goes. And there are emotions at every stage of that cycle that reappear and disappear and reappear and disappear, depending on the seasons in which we find ourselves. So 2022 was a year of grief. It was a year facing our shadows. That being said, it doesn't mean that on a personal level, we lost agency. We lost the power of choice. We are always free to choose themes that resonate more clearly, more directly with whatever it is that we are seeking. We always have choice. We always have agency. That being said, that brings us to 2023, a 7-year. The thing about shadow work is that it's never really ever done. It isn't something that we can say that we've completed and we can package it and put it away and move on to the next great, better feeling thing. Shadow work, much like personal development, is an ongoing effort, is an ongoing aspect of work that we get to do to fulfill our emotional selves. And oftentimes, shadow work appears in the moments that we need to be triggered so that we can dive in deeper and be better prepared for what is coming next. We are already beginning to see things come up in the collective that hint at more of the foundation being shaken up and requiring a deeper look. If we are someone who chose to do that shadow work, we may understand the necessity of this, and we may understand that it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to be afraid or retreat further into our shells. It can be an opportunity to practice that groundedness, that stability within our spiritual selves, our spiritual minds, and stay rooted in that in the face of whatever other challenges may arise. And as we move further into the age of Aquarius, in a 7-year, a year ruled by the planet Neptune, associated with dreams, we can sense a theme of individuality, something that we have often confused with loneliness, as with most things in this world. Individuality exists in a perfect complement with tribe, with collective, with community. By individuality, we mean staying rooted in one's truth, affirming the power of one's being, determining what one's values are, and what one's role is in this world. Individuality naturally requires a certain path of internal reflection, which isn't something that is given to you from the external, it's something that we give to ourselves. And then finding that balance point, that middle ground of reintegrating in society and showing up as our authentic selves. We always have the power to choose. And there is so much good that awaits us when we focus our mind to think those good feeling thoughts and to remember that we are continually supported. All that we see is happening for our highest good. Om Shanti.